What's going on? Welcome to Father-Son DIY Garage. Today we are making a fireplace grate for our custom-built offset smoker. Alright, so I started this project off by cutting 4 pieces of 5/8 rebar, 2 at 16 inches and 2 at 20. This was a fairly simple project, took about an hour to complete, and only cost $25 to do. I bought a 20-foot stick of 5/8 rebar and a 20-foot stick of 1/2 inch rebar. And I had a good amount left over when this project was done. So once you're done cutting all your pieces, it should look something like this. And then we'll get into cutting our slats for this project. It's going to be 1/2 inch rebar cut at 16 inches each. And we cut 9 of these pieces. Started off using the bandsaw and it worked for one cut, and then it started to dull out, so switched over to the angle grinder. I typically use the bandsaw when cutting small metal like this just because there's no sparks and it usually cuts a little faster when you have a sharp blade. But angle grinder works just as good. I then began to mark out on my 20-foot pieces of 5/8 rod every 2 inches. This is going to be where you weld on all of your 1/2 inch pieces cut at 16 inches in length. And there it is all set up. I started by tack welding together the corners of the 5/8 rod. I then went back and aligned my 1/2 inch rod on all of the marks that I made, getting it nice and straight. Just tacking these on to start with, and I'll go back and put a full weld on them. Knocking off all the slag from these welds. There's my last cross piece going in, and then I went back and I put a full weld on all these pieces. After that, I cut 4 pieces of 5/8 rod at 4 inches, and these are going to be our legs for the grate. I installed these pieces using 2 welders right angle magnets, and then that'll allow for us to get some nice straight legs out of this. Had some trouble with that last leg, so I had to go back and re-tack weld it on. And after that, I put a nice full weld on the bottom, connecting it to the 5/8 corner pieces. And that'll hopefully get us a nice strong corner on each one of these. Then I flipped it over and did the same thing on top. Put a nice fat weld on the top. And this grate is going to be going into our custom built smoker, so this will be in the firebox. So we want it to be fairly sturdy because it's going to be holding a lot of wood on it, and it's going to have to withstand a lot of heat for a long time. Usually about 12-hour cooks. So I then went back and I used a sanding disc on my angle grinder, and I rounded over all these corners just to give it a nice professional look. And after all the edges were completely rounded over, I went ahead and knocked off all the slag and then started to prep for the paint. I decided to go with a high heat resistant paint because it's going to have firewood on it, and I'd like to see how it holds up against having direct flame and heat on it. So this is a matte black finish. And this was the last step of our project. Flipped it over and got the bottom side also to protect it a little more. And after that, we're done.
There you go. That's the final product.